Hello, everybody. Mondays with Maya. Hello, everybody. We're working two different cameras here. So, hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me on the third installment. Hello, people who are joining. The third installment of Mondays with Maya. Hello, welcome. Thanks, everybody, for joining me. Today, we are talking about Imposter Syndrome Part 2. Hi, Jupiter. Jupiter from Cuba. And we have so much to talk about that we didn't get a chance to talk about last week. I also want to mention that we did not get up my Mondays with Maya Part 2. That is coming. We did finally put Part 1 up on YouTube. So if you go onto my YouTube channel, Professor Maya, you'll see that after Mondays with Maya ends sometime this week, then the installment will get put up onto YouTube. So what happened this week? Did everybody see the Oscar performance with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper? Oh my goodness, it was so good. Her speech was phenomenal. I tweeted it out and sent it out on Instagram. It was amazing. And I'm also want to tell you about a few events that are coming up for International Women's Day. If you are local and you have the time to come and hear me speak, I will be at Success in the City in Hamilton. That is Tuesday. Hi, Paula. That is Tuesday, March 5th. That's an all-day event in Hamilton, Success in the City. I am doing the keynote talk for that. There's also Guelph Innovation. That's Thursday, March 7th. And then there's the Strathroy Chamber of Commerce. That's Friday, March 8th. So anyways, you can go on to my website if you have the time to come hear me speak live. So I want to tell you a little example of overconfidence. I spoke before, hi Shara, I spoke about how men have what we call, not all men, but in general, we know that men tend to overestimate their accomplishments to the tune of 30%, right? That's what we call, hi Mimi, that's what we call overconfidence, right? And so I just want to give you an example. I have a 6-year-old daughter, Ryo. I was taking her to Kumon. Okay, Kumon is like this extra reading and math program. And we got there early. So we're waiting in the waiting room, and it's all just mothers with their children, and it happened to be just daughters there with their mothers waiting for the Kumon office to open. So we get there 10 minutes early, and we're just waiting. Why? Because we see other people waiting. So we just assumed that the door was closed, so we're waiting. And then in comes a little boy, maybe 10 years old. He sees everybody waiting. He looks at the room and he's like, yeah, I'm just going to go in. And he walked in and the Kumon teacher was like, oh yeah, hi, welcome. What? That's your overconfidence. Women are rule followers. So all of us just sat there waiting because, I don't know, we were waiting to be called in or I don't know what. Nobody else was in there. So we thought, oh, well, we can't be rude and interrupt. And this guy, this like 10-year-old kid, this boy just walks in and was like, no, I'm just going to open the door. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's it. That is so symbolic of the research. I'm just going to open the door. What's the worst that's going to happen? And I'm just going to walk in. Anyways, I loved it. I'll tell you another, just a quick story before we get into this. So I'm driving with my parents and we're driving down the street and I see like an overabundance of leaves. This was like a few months ago. And the leaves were all on one side of the street. And I said, this is so odd. I'm saying this to my dad, like, this is so odd. Why are all the leaves on the side of the street? And my mom's like, yeah, I have no idea. And I have no idea. And my dad, with sheer confidence, says the winds are coming from the north and they're blowing them all here. And I don't know what. He just made it up. But he said it with such confidence that my mom and I literally believed him. And then 30 seconds up the road, what do we see? We see, this is where I'm supposed to be. So what do I see? But a leaf blowing truck in front of us, collecting all the leaves and blowing them to the right side of the curb. But my father had my mother and I believing that it was this northerly wind. And we both, when we saw this like leaf blowing truck, we just look at my dad and we're like, oh my gosh, you just made that up. And he was like, it sounded good. It just sounded good. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's your male overconfidence. If women don't know something, we will be the first ones to tell you, oh, no, I don't know that. I do not have the answer for that. I am not an expert. I'm going to need to get back to you. And my dad's like, yeah, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm just going to make something up. Anyways. Okay. So let's get started. Let's talk a little bit more about the imposter syndrome. One thing that we didn't get to talk about last week is what we call the crusher statement. I believe we didn't do that. Hi. So what is the crusher statement? Okay, so you figure out, this is about trying to figure out where the imposter syndrome comes from. So you start by figuring out the lie that you have told yourself for years. The lie that you have told yourself for years. And everybody knows this. We all have this lie. I'm not smart enough. I don't know enough. I'm too old. Nobody's going to believe me. There are better ideas out there. Sort of that voice that rattles around in your head. Or I failed once. I'm always going to fail. And we call it the crusher statement because it crushes your spirit. It crushes your confidence. And we all know what that voice sounds like. For some of you, it may be a parent. It may be a guidance counselor. It may be a boss at work. You may have had confidence your whole life and then you got into a work situation where a boss wrecked you, where a toxic work environment wrecked you and destroyed your confidence. I hear a lot about that from people who attend my talks, that they were pretty confident and then hi Jennifer, thanks for joining. Hi Paula. And then they got into this work environment, whether it was their colleagues or their boss or the competitive atmosphere, and it just destroyed your confidence. So this crusher statement is an automatic, negative thought. That is not the truth about us, but it is what we have been led to believe about ourselves. And it's really at the core of why we feel like an imposter. And it didn't happen overnight. For some of us, it started years ago. And for some of us, it started decades ago. So some of you may have a crusher statement that sounds like, I'm not smart enough. I'm not smart enough. I shouldn't speak up. I shouldn't give my opinion. And so if you have that crusher statement, you need to switch that to what we call a direction statement. So a direction statement is a positive self-statement. And that sounds like, I have a voice, I have an opinion, and I have the right to express myself. I have the duty to express my opinion. It is my responsibility to give my opinion. Some of you may have a crusher statement that sounds like, I'm a failure. I always mess up. I always fuck up. And then you need to switch that to a direction statement. Again, that's that positive, self-affirming statement. Hi, Cassidy. And that is, I have the right to make a mistake. I have the right to fail. Hi, Alessandra. It's called being human. Failure is information. Failure is information. So the next time you're feeling like you're in the waves of this imposter syndrome, I want you to ask yourself, does this thinking pattern help me or harm me? Because every single thought pattern has a payoff for us, whether it's positive or negative. We do it for a reason. We do it for a reason. So you need to figure out what that reason is for you. And I want to read you out some questions to help you figure out why you keep doubting yourself. Okay? So what does my behavior help me avoid? What does my behavior help me avoid? So if you never push yourself to the limits, if you never jump, if you never leap, if you never take a risk, if you never get out of your comfort zone, where does that behavior get you? Where does that behavior get you? That means if you're never putting yourself out there, you're never putting your ideas out there, your products out there, your services out there, that means your ideas, your products, and your services are never getting scrutinized. If you're never putting yourself out there, then the possibility of failure is almost zero. But the possibility for success is equally zero because you're never putting yourself or your products or your ideas out there for people to critique. So then you just keep staying in that safe bubble, which isn't really safe because you're filled with anxiety and doubt. And the doubt keeps you in this cycle of procrastination and avoidance, not to mention all those awful feelings of not being good enough, right? So the first question is, what does my behavior help me avoid? If you don't speak up at work, if you don't give your ideas, if you don't want to finish your degree, your diploma, your dissertation, if you never want to apply for that new job, if you never want to ask for that promotion, where does that get you? If you never want to act on that new hobby, that learning that new language, starting your own business, opening up a restaurant, becoming a makeup artist, writing a book, if you never do that, if you never take that first step, where does that behavior get you? Where does it get you? You avoid the humiliation, the possibility of being humiliated by your mistakes. Sure. But it doesn't get you freedom. It just keeps you mediocre, where you're okay with life, you're okay with your finances, you're okay with your relationships, just there. The second question is, what does this type of behavior help protect me from? So if you are always holding your ideas back, if you're always trying to avoid attention because of that feeling of being an imposter, like, oh my gosh, they're going to think my idea is stupid. Oh my gosh, they're going to think that I'm not good enough. Oh my gosh, they're going to laugh at me. Hi, Jennifer. Then if you purposely blend in and keep a low profile, you're protecting yourself from scrutiny. You're protecting your ideas from judgment. And then the third idea is, and this is the most difficult question, is, what are the consequences of this? Ultimately, what are the consequences of this type of thinking? Where does this mindset get you? What is the conclusion of this for you? All these negative thoughts, all these automatic negative thoughts has a payoff for us, has a payoff. So I'll give you an example. After my PhD, I was like, okay, I'm going to get a tenure track position because that's what everybody does. That's what everyone tells you. You get a PhD and then you work in academia and you get a full-time job in academia. And I tried like 80%. I didn't go all in because a part of me was like, I think I want to start my own business. And then the bigger part of me was like, are you fucking mad? Are you fucking kidding me? You just got your degree. You go and you do what you know, which is sociology, in an academic field. You don't know shit about starting your own company. You don't know shit about writing a book. What are you talking about? You don't know anything about being on a speaking tour. Just because you lecture all the time in classrooms doesn't mean you know anything about how to be a professional speaker. So I had those two voices. And then I had my parents and everyone who was well-meaning who would say, what about your pension? What about health benefits? What about sick pay? You can't just start your own business. That's risky. And then I was like, oh, that is risky. Oh, maybe I should listen to them. Oh, it took me 2 years. 2 years where I straddled academia and teaching with, oh, I think I want to start my own company. Oh, I think I'm going to write a book. What do I know about writing a book? I had just written academic articles. Doesn't mean I know how to write a book. 2 years it took me to make that decision where I was like, okay, I'm just going to give it a try and I'm just going to write the book. Do you know how I wrote the book? I had to force myself into a structure, into a schedule. So one day I got myself a Twitter account. I went onto Facebook. I think I got myself on LinkedIn. And I started a blog. At that time, it was called All In with Maja. And I created the blog specifically to force myself to write something every day and post it out for the world to critique. Oh my gosh, what will people think? But I did that to force myself to write every single day. And I wrote a blog post every single day. Like, I think my goal was to write every day, maybe 7 days a week, but I didn't do that. I ended up writing 5 days a week. And I did that for almost a year. And then I took all those blog posts and I created the book out of those blog posts and then shut down the blog and then created a website. That's how I did it. I just forced myself out of my comfort zone, forced myself to hit that send button and send out the blog. And I had to deal with all those feelings of like, oh my gosh, people are going to critique my work. I'm not doing academia because it's more in the public realm. What will people think? And I still get that to this day. People still shit on my ideas and shit on what I'm doing. But now I have more internal resolve to be like, okay, no. My internal compass, I know why I'm doing this. Why I'm doing this is to get more people out of their comfort zones. So it's okay if I'm getting all the external hate and the doubt from others because my internal resolve is so much stronger now than it was 2 years ago. And that's what we do. That's how I talk about how confidence is a muscle. I'm building my entrepreneurial confidence. I am building that muscle day after bloody day. It's not something that I was born with or that any of us really are born with. You grow that confidence muscle. Okay, so I just want to mention now also automatic negative thoughts. Automatic negative thoughts. These are tied to the imposter syndrome. I'm just going to read out some and see which ones you connect with. So this is called magnification and minimization. So these are automatic negative thoughts. So magnification is you magnify, hi Pina, you magnify the significance of your mistake, of the possibility of failure. You magnify that, and then you minimize all your positive attributes. You minimize the progress. You minimize how far you've come. And you do that with disqualifying statements like, oh my gosh, anybody could have done that. I'm not smart. Anybody could have done that, right? So we have to sort of flip that script in our mind where we can acknowledge our greatness and become our own biggest supporter, our own cheerleader, right? So that we can constantly rely on ourselves so that when that doubt comes from other people, and this can really truly come from well-meaning people, and I get this daily. I got this morning. I met somebody that I really, really, really like and I've known for a long time. And they were just like, what? What? You're trying to be a full-time entrepreneur? What? What about your pension? And what about sick pay? And what about this? And what about that? And so you're not often going to meet people that are going to be like, yes, yes, do it. Yes, you're amazing. Go for it. Yes, this is such a brilliant idea. More often than not, you're going to meet all the people that are going to feed that doubt in you and feed those feelings of being an imposter. So you have to recognize when those thoughts are coming to you and redirect to a more positive statement, right? So we can't disqualify the positive that has been happening to us, the positive that we have created for ourselves. We have to stop discounting that and magnifying the negative. Hi, Jessica. That's my fellow PhD buddy. Okay, so something that's intimately tied to this is us doing too much for everybody else, right? Sort of like the nice girl syndrome, saying yes to what everybody else wants, and then at the end of the day, there's nothing left for you because you have become the go-to person for other people's problems. Hi, Crystal and Emily. For other people's problems and dramas. And so you're saying yes, 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 yes to everybody, but then you don't say yes to yourself. And at the end of the day, you are depleted. You are exhausted. So let's talk a little bit about people-pleasing tendencies, which is, Constantina, which is tied to the imposter syndrome and can also make those feelings. I did that for others. I did not focus on myself. Yeah, absolutely. We all do that. We all do that because, oh my gosh, we just want to be nice. Isn't that just nice? Okay. So this stuff is it's a little bit depressing, but I'm going to pump you up at the end. Okay. Because we need to talk about this stuff. We need to talk about what we are doing to ourselves when we are filling everybody else's cup and ours is empty. And you can't do anything with an empty cup, right? For yourself. So there's people-pleasing mindsets, there are people-pleasing habits, and then there are people-pleasing feelings. So let's talk about people-pleasing mindsets. People-pleasing mindsets. So if you're in this group, you are fixated with the idea that everybody has to like you. That's tough. Everybody has to like you. And that somehow, if you're just nice, that's going to protect you from rejection. Oh my gosh, absolutely, Mimi. Absolutely, culture has a huge part of that. And actually, my research assistant and I were talking about that because she comes from an Indian culture, an Indian background, and it's in her family, it was very much a patriarchal family where the men spoke, right? And the men had opinions. And the women were very much the ones that tended to deal with the emotional labor of taking care of everybody else. Actually, one of my research students said to me that it took a while for her to get used to me asking for her opinion because she didn't grow up that way. She didn't grow up with people saying, and what do you think? And what do you have to say about this? And how would you like to solve this issue? Whereas ideas and opinions were put upon her. And so definitely, Mimi, you're right. It absolutely is a cultural thing too. So the thing with a people-pleasing mindset is we put these perfectionist ideas upon ourselves about how these relationships are going to occur. And we set unrealistic expectations for ourselves. Oh, if I do this for this person, then they will like me forever and we're going to have a fantastic relationship and we'll never have any disagreements or uncomfortable conversations, right? Because what? We want universal acceptance from everyone all the time. When I first became a teaching assistant, I don't know, 10 years ago probably, and I taught my first class, oh my goodness, did I want every single student to like me. When I got nasty student evaluations, even if they were like a little bit true, oh my gosh, did it hurt me. Oh, I'm so glad that you can focus on yourself. For a lot of us, that's a struggle, right? That's a struggle. Okay, so that was people-pleasing mindset. So the next one is people-pleasing habits. People-pleasing habits. So this is when we have this habitual, almost obsessive need to take care of other people. Oh, you want to swoop in and save the day. You want to be a martyr. You want to be a savior. You just want to help other people. You are the go-to person in your family, in your community, in your neighborhood to take care of other people at all times. What is this? We do too much, too often for too many people. We do too much, too often for too many people. We're spread too thin. And so other people love it. And inside we're raging. But we don't say anything because people pleasers hate confrontation. So we just keep it bottled up until one day we lose it. But it stresses us out because again, we're just emptying our cup for other people. We become addicted to other people's approval for us among random strangers. Yeah, I'm sure, Jupiter, for sure. And then we also have people. Cassidy, you're becoming more comfortable with saying no to others and yes to me. It's a work in progress. Oh my goodness, is it a work in progress? I have to remind myself of this daily. Sometimes you don't have to go for tea with that person. Sometimes you don't have to meet up. Sometimes you don't have to go for that family dinner. It's okay. It doesn't make you an asshole because you need to protect yourself and your own boundaries, right? So people-pleasing feelings. This is when we do everything we can to avoid a negative interaction, to avoid a confrontation. Oh my goodness. I know so many people who will jump leaps and bounds to avoid having a difficult conversation with another person. A difficult conversation. And so just the idea that we may need to confront somebody about something they said, how they acted, how they're treating us, their expectations of the friendships, something like that. Just the anticipation of that conversation is stressing us out because we think this is it. One confrontation, the relationship is over, the friendship is over, they're going to hate me, we won't be talking anymore. Yes, and then we marinate. Absolutely, we stew in that because we don't have that confrontation or that conversation right away. No. We like to marinate, ruminate with that idea, building it up to be way worse than it is for a week, right? We do that. And the thing is, you may lose a friendship when you speak up for yourself. When you say, you know what, this doesn't work for me anymore. I know you relied on me and I know I did this for you and I know I took care of you and I know that I was always a go-to person, but it's depleting me. And when you stand up for yourself, you're going to find this, whoa, from other people going, oh, no, I don't like that because you've always said yes to me, so why are you saying no? People don't like it when we stand up for ourselves and we advocate for ourselves and we say no, that's not appropriate. And so expect some pushback. But there's this phrase that I always play over in my mind again. And it is a yes to someone else is simultaneously a no to me. And sometimes you want to say yes. Sometimes it makes you feel good to say yes and to be there for that person. But pick and choose those people and those moments and those experiences that you are saying yes to. Be conscious Be deliberate about who and what you are saying yes to. You can't forget about yourself. The biggest consequence of always being these people pleasers, yes, they do. Yes, Crystal, they do end up having a more respect for you. They do, because then you are teaching them how to treat you, right? So the biggest consequence, if we don't have these conversations, if we continue in these people-pleasing mindsets and habits and feelings, what's the biggest consequence? Is we downplay what we want. We ignore what we need. We minimize the discomfort that we are going through. And there was this really great book by a psychologist, Dr. Breaker, and she wrote a phenomenal book on this. She actually had like a lower self-esteem, absolutely. And it increases stress and feelings of anxiety and depression for many people. And she wrote this book on people-pleasing tendencies. And she actually had like a 21-day program, a 21-method program to help push you through these people-pleasing tendencies. And I just want to talk a bit about a few of these with you. And one is, and I use this one and it's so good, it is buy yourself time. Buy yourself time. So do not feel compelled to say yes to somebody on the spot, in the moment. So if you are person to person and somebody says, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to come with me? Can you pick me up? Oh, the book is called Disease to Please. The Disease to Please, Curing the People-Pleasing Syndrome. She's really the architect of the people-pleasing behaviors, and that program was developed on her, like based on her 20 years in clinical therapy. So it's a phenomenal book. So it's called The Disease to Please, Curing the People-Pleasing Syndrome. Okay, so do not feel compelled to give people an answer on the spot. So she calls it buying yourself time. And this is what you say. Thank you so much for thinking of me. I appreciate you asking me to do this, and I'll get back to you tomorrow. This is this is Cooper. I'll get back to you. Oh, your 7-year-old's watching. Oh my goodness, I swear so much. Okay. So I will get back to you by Friday. I'll get back to you in 24 hours. I'll check my schedule and get back to you in 2 days. Doesn't matter what the number is. Come up with a number for yourself. I'll get back to you next Monday, next Friday, in 2 days, in 24 hours. I'll get back to you at the end of the day. Doesn't matter what that time block is, but give yourself some time. That is meant to buy yourself some time, so you're like, okay, am I being a people pleaser? Do I really need to say yes? Or, should I just say no so I can say yes to myself? So I can say yes to myself. That is the question you are asking yourself. So if you can buy yourself some time, you can give yourself some space between the request and you feeling compelled because you just want to be a nice person and you just want them to like you. But you know what? When you say no to a request or a person and you feel relief, oh, hallelujah. That means that was the right thing for you. That was the right thing for you. Okay, so the second technique, she says, is what she calls the broken record technique. And this is for people who are used to you saying, yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll pick that up. Yes, I'll drop your kids off. Yes, I'll do this for you. Yes, I'll listen to your breakup story for the 17th time. Yes, I'll help you this. Yes. And you don't have to give them a reason. Yes, Jupiter, you don't have to. You don't have to say, I can't help you. I'm having dialysis on Wednesday. No. I can't help you. I wish you all the best with this. I can't help you. Okay, so the technique is the broken record technique, where you just repeat back to them, because people are going to say, oh, but why not? Why do you have to think about this? And you say, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate that you're thinking of me, and I'll get back to you. I simply cannot make a decision right now. I must check my schedule, and I will get back to you. And just think of a broken record. Just keep repeating this to them, either through email or text or on the phone or in person. And then the third tip is, holy crap, think about you. Think about you. You don't have to think about you 100% of the time, but could you maybe like 10% of the time start thinking about yourself? 20% of the time start thinking about, what do you want? What do you need? Yes. What is going to help you? Who else is thinking about you? Who else is thinking about your stress? Who else is thinking about your needs? Who else is thinking about your business and your clients and your ideas and your agenda and what you need to finish? No one. So you have to be that person. You have to think about you. It doesn't make you a jerk. It doesn't make you an asshole. It doesn't make you greedy. It doesn't make you conceited. It makes you human. You need to think about you. You need to have boundaries. Boundaries will save you. Boundaries will pump up your self-esteem. If you give yourself boundaries and you start saying no to other people so you can start saying yes to yourself, do you know what you are giving yourself? Whoo! You are giving yourself time. You are giving yourself energy. You are giving yourself resources to then take all that and put it into what you want, your business, your idea, what you are working on. And when you spend more time on what fills you up and what makes you feel alive, that's when you don't feel burnt out. That's when you know you're doing the right thing. You are where you need to be. And then the fourth tip that Dr. Breaker gives is, and this is a good one, is you help your friend solve the problem. You don't solve it for them. And solving it for them would be when you do that thing for them. You pick that thing up. You drop somebody off. You, whatever. You're there for a 2-hour emotional labor, friendship talk, whatever it is. Help them solve the problem. Don't solve it for them, right? Don't solve it for them. But you need to know this about people-pleasing tendencies, right? They've been ingrained in us for a long time. So you can't just flip a switch and be like, well, I'm going to be more confident. Tomorrow's going to be an amazing day. No, it takes work. It takes work. Every single day you have to choose you. Every single day. And sometimes hourly, you have to choose you. You have to choose what you want. You have to choose what fills you up. What about at work? How transparent do you have to be at work or with colleagues? I feel like a lot of people pleasing happens at work. Yeah, it does happen at work. So sometimes you may want to come up with a script in terms of, I don't know what particular example you're dealing with. Like, is it stuff like after work that happens and you don't want to do after work drinks, or you can't get together after work, or you can't do stuff on the weekends because it just doesn't work for you, because I'm in a relationship, because I have a family, because I have other things to do. And so you have to come up with a phrase that doesn't work for me. Yeah, Steve uses this phrase all the time. Oh my gosh, I have seen him use it. And he just says that doesn't work for me. No explanation, no justification. Because typically with women, we're like, oh, that doesn't work for me because, and then we give like 10 other reasons. And no, that doesn't work for me. I'd love to help you out, but that doesn't work for me. I don't know of any study out there that says you can just read a book on this stuff. You can just listen to a TED Talk. You can just listen to one talk, an Instagram Live, whatever it is, and things are going to be better. This stuff is work. You have to read it. You have to listen to it. You have to remind yourself about it. You have to swim in this stuff. You have to be surrounded. Today is not good is an excellent. Oh yeah, I like that. Today's not a good day. Yeah, today is not good. Today's not going to work for me. Yeah, I like that actually. That is good. Thank you. So you really have to swim in this stuff. In order to start getting comfortable with saying no to others. And have any of you ever read that book by Sarah Knight, The Magic Art of Not Giving a Fuck? So Sarah Knight is a journalist that wrote this book, and it's all about how to stop spending time with people you don't like, doing things you don't want to do. The what are you feeding your thought garden? Yes, it's so good. And so she came up with a really hilarious, oh, you just started it? She came up with a really hilarious way of describing our incessant people-pleasing tendencies. And so she calls it your shit budget. And we all have to have one of these. Like when I do talks at, yes, the subtle art of not giving a fuck. Yeah, that's it. That's the book. She's written like 3 or 4 books now on this topic. But you have what she calls like a finite number of shits to give in a day. So today I'm going to give a shit about my workouts, and I'm going to give a shit about doing something with my friends or hanging out or going for coffee with this person, and I have to give a crap about working on my business or writing. But then, you know what? I'm all out of craps. So that means I can't give a crap to this thing, to this fundraiser. I can't give a crap to go and have drinks after work. I can't give a crap to start this new project. So you have a finite number of craps to give, right? So you can't just give them out willy-nilly, because then you'll be depleted, you'll be left with nothing for you. And so she had this tool where she said the next time somebody asks something of you, yes, shitty committee, the next time somebody asks something of you, is that Ashley? She wants you to ask yourself, oh my gosh, set boundaries at home and we suffer. Absolutely. We suffer all the time. Yo, Ashley. Hi, Ashley. We suffer from it all the time. It stresses us out big time when we can't say no. So Sarah Knight in this book says, do you have the time? The next time somebody asks you for something, before you say yes to this person, this request, this experience, whatever it is, ask yourself, hi Beth, fellow makeup artist, ask yourself, do I have the time? Do I have the energy? And do I have the resources? How many of us have actually asked ourselves those questions before saying yes to somebody's request? Oh my gosh, never until recently. But I would always just be like, oh yes, of course, yeah, for sure. I want to help you, absolutely. I will do this. And then I'll simply push back my work later on. Oh shit, now I have to cook dinner. Okay, I'll just push my writing off until the end of the day. Oh crap, now I'm tired and Netflix is on and RuPaul's Drag Race just got uploaded and now I have to binge watch all of it. So I've started doing this. Do I have the time? Do I have the resources? Do I have the energy? And if one of those 3 things is nope. Jupiter, I love that. I have serious shit to do. I have shit to do. Yes. And so I have started asking myself that question. Being able to say no. I feel so strong when I'm able to speak. Yes, absolutely. Because it's momentarily hurtful, right? It's momentarily uncomfortable to saying no to other people. It's momentarily a little like, ooh, discombobulating. But then as soon as you say no, and then you realize that person is like, oh, okay, I guess I'll ask somebody else. I guess I'll go try something else. I guess I'll figure it out on my own. You're like, oh, yes, I don't have to do it. Yes, that matters. What is this? Sent a request to be in my live. I have never done that. Has anybody done that before? Maybe we'll try that. I'm new at Instagram Live. I don't know what these things are. Okay, so then I want you to ask yourself some other questions. This is a no. Ask how to say no. Yes. Okay, so the next time somebody asks something of you, ask yourself these questions. Am I going to learn anything? Am I, tilt the camera a bit. Where, Beth? This way? To me? Oh no. Oh no, Beth! You know we can't be fiddling with this stuff. Oh no. Okay, so the next time somebody asks you for something, ask yourself, oh, Beth just wants a better look at my necklace, huh, Beth? Will I learn anything? Will I learn anything? Up until like a year ago, I never asked myself that question, will I learn anything if I help this person? If I do this thing for that person? Oh my goodness. How about, is this my issue? Or is this their issue? Is this my issue or is their issue? Most of the time you realize, no, it's not really my problem. It's not really my thing to solve. It's really yours. And good luck to you, right? Ask yourself, is this going to be interesting for me? Is this going to be fun for me? Is this a passion of mine to help this person out in this situation? When I talk about this in my workshops, oh my goodness, people get riled up. They're like, oh, so you want us to be like assholes. You want us to be jerks. No, I just want you to think about yourself. Think about what you want. It takes practice. It absolutely does, Mimi. It takes practice. And those first few times, you feel guilty. You feel guilty. You do. Until you realize that guilt is a useless, soul-sucking emotion that will completely drain you, right? It will completely drain you. And I'm not trying to get you to be a jerk. I just want you to be cognizant of how often and for what reason you are saying yes, 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 yes to everybody else, but you're not saying yes to yourself. You're not saying yes to yourself. What are you avoiding? Putting yourself out there, taking a risk, trying something new. What are you avoiding? It took me 2 years, I told you at the beginning, 2 years to make the decision to become a public sociologist and to try to turn this sociological thing that I'm doing into a full-time job. And you know why it took me 2 years? Because those feelings of doubt, because those feelings of, hello, TEDx, Trinity Bellwoods, where I did my TED Talk. That must be Olesia. Because I just kept thinking, well, what are people going to think? This is stupid. They're going to think I'm stupid. This is not going to work out. Oh my gosh. I deal with that all the time. All the time. And then I procrastinate on my writing and I procrastinate on what I should be doing because I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll just be nice and I'll just do something else for somebody because then I feel like I'm productive, right? But I'm not really productive. I'm just busy. I'm just busy filling other people's cups up and simultaneously self-sabotaging. Simultaneously self-sabotaging. So know this. Every single decision that you make, either moves you closer or further away from the vision of your life. Every single decision you make either moves you further away or closer to that vision, to what you're working on. And so for me, I'm working on book edits for the first book. I'm working on a perfectionism book. I'm working on creating new content for my talks. And I'm constantly procrastinating when I get in these cycles of self-doubt where I'm like, oh my gosh, but there were so many mistakes with the first book. And oh my gosh, the first book could have been so much better. And oh my gosh, it really wasn't what I thought it was. And oh my gosh, I missed all these obvious things. And how could I have missed that? And then I got to snap out of it. Right? And pump myself up and be like, but you know what, girlfriend? You know what? You wrote the damn book. You got the talk. You are doing what you want to do. So keep going, keep going, keep going. That's what I have to tell myself. Every single friggin' day, I have to pump myself up every single day and push myself off the friggin' ledge. Because our nature, our human nature, is to be in that comfort zone, to be comfortable, to not be judged, to not put ourselves out there, to not get critiqued, to not look within, to not figure out, why am I always doubting myself? What does that crusher statement mean? What are these negative thoughts? Why do I have... We don't want to do all that internal reflection because that's work. And it's difficult work, but we got to do it. We have to go all in all the time. Oh my goodness. We all have been, right, Beth? We've all been there so many times. And we got to pump ourselves. We got to pump ourselves up. And so I just want to share like a success story with you. So I was reading the news today and I found this story. Can you see this girl? Look at this lovely girl. She is a 17-year-old girl, biracial girl in Quebec. Her name, 16 years old. She's a high school student in Quebec. And her name is Laura Doyle. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Steve, P-E-A-N. Pian? It's French. Laura Doyle Pian. Yeah. So she just won a $100,000 scholarship. 5,000 people apply for this scholarship on a yearly basis. 35 people win it. It's an incredibly prestigious grant to win. And do you know what she did? She's 16 years old. A cousin of hers was shot by police. He lived, but he was shot. A black man, I believe he was a teenager, was shot by police in the States, in Texas. It was her cousin. And she started to get involved in what is going on with all these police shootings of black men in the United States. She started to research this. She got interested in Black Lives Matter. And then she's juxtaposing what's happening in her real life with what she's being taught about Black Canadian history in school, which was next to nothing. And she was finding that these teachers didn't really have a curriculum that framed the Black experience in a way that she could relate to. And so you know what she came up with? She wrote a toolkit for teachers. She's not a teacher. She doesn't have a teaching diploma, a teaching degree. She doesn't have a university degree. But she started thinking, why not me? Why not me? Why shouldn't I write this? I have personal experience. I have a vested interest. And I have the right to my opinion. I have the right to express myself. So she wrote a toolkit for teachers, a curriculum that is now going to be implemented in schools. What? How phenomenal is this? She had an idea. She didn't ruminate. Well, maybe she was ruminating, but she pushed through and she's like, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna push myself out there. She saw a void. She saw that there was a gap. And she was like, I can fill that gap. I can do something about that. My voice matters. Oh my gosh, she's 16 years old. Can I just show you her picture again? Look, Quebec City teen who created Black history teaching materials wins $100,000 scholarship. $100,000 scholarship. So she's also an activist and an avid writer. So she's been writing her poetry. And she has a whole collection of poetry and she just started sending it out to publishing houses and she now has a publisher for her poetry. This is amazing. Why not me? Why not me? That's what I want all of you to be asking yourselves all the time. Instead of going to our default thinking like, why would anybody believe me? Why would anybody listen to me? Why not me? Why not me? Why shouldn't I do that? Why shouldn't I come up with that idea? Why shouldn't I create this, write this book, start this idea, talk to people, be an activist, do something. Do something. That's what I want you to get out of all these Mondays with Maja. Get out of your friggin' comfort zone. Get off the ledge and do something. Stop thinking about it. Stop worrying about other people's opinions. Start worrying about yourself. Start thinking about yourself. Start asking yourself, how often am I putting myself and my ideas and what I want and what I need first? If we do not put ourselves first, who's going to do that for us? Who? Who is going to do that for us? Remarkable girl. Remarkable. I have so many other stories that I want to share of remarkable young women. We're going to talk about remarkable stories, remarkable, inspirational young mentors, older mentors. We're going to do that in the next Instagram Live. We've already been talking an hour. Oh my goodness. So we're going to wrap it up. So Mondays with Maja. Every Monday at 8, I will be here. And we have so many topics to discuss. I want to talk about how we can create allies, how we can get men to be allies for us, and how we as women can be better allies to other women. And that all comes with education, learning, reading, talking. I want to talk about microaggressions. I want to talk about failure, dealing with constructive criticism. So there are so many topics to discuss. I want to talk about how we pump ourselves up after a failure. Anyways, I will figure out what next week is going to be. And I guess this is it. So good night. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for joining in.
Watch the full episode on YouTube.
And you can watch the full episode of this, which is Mondays with Maja number 3. You can watch that on YouTube sometime this week. Shara is going to put that up. Thank you, Cassidy. Thank you, Rosalie. Thank you, Beth. Using social media to promote yourself. Oh, should that be a topic? Jupiter, is that what you're saying? How to use social media to promote yourself. Yes. Anyways, awesome. Good night. I just see somebody joined, but we're leaving. Anyways, catch the full episode on YouTube. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Good night.